Pythagoras, born c. 570 BC, Samos, Ionia, Greece, died c. 500 to 490 BC, Metapontum, Lucanium, Italy, was a Greek philosopher, mathematician, and founder of the Pythagorean Brotherhood, that, although religious in nature, formulated principles that influenced the thought of Plato and Aristotle and contributed to the development of mathematics and Western rational philosophy. For a fuller treatment of Pythagoras and Pythagorean thought, see Pythagoreanism. Little of what is known about Pythagoras comes from contemporary accounts, and the first fragmentary accounts of his life came in the 4th century BC, about 150 years after his death. Pythagoras was born in Samos and likely went to Egypt and Babylon as a young man. He emigrated to southern Italy about 530 to BCE, apparently to escape Samos's tyrannical rule, and established his ethico-political academy at Croton, now Crotone, Italy. Because of anti-Pythagorean feeling in Croton, he fled that city in 510 BC for Metapontum, now Metaponto, Italy, where he died. It is difficult to distinguish Pythagoras' teachings from those of his disciples. Pythagoras himself likely wrote no books, and Pythagoreans invariably supported their doctrines by indiscriminately citing their master's authority. Pythagoras, however, is generally credited with the theory of the functional significance of numbers in the objective world and in music. Other discoveries often attributed to him the incommensurability of the side and diagonal of a square, for example, and the Pythagorean theorem for right triangles were probably developed only later by the Pythagorean school. More probably, the bulk of the intellectual tradition originating with Pythagoras himself belongs to mystical wisdom rather than to scientific scholarship. Interval in music, the inclusive distance between one tone and another, whether sounded successively, melodic interval or simultaneously harmonic interval. In Western tonality, intervals are measured by their relationship to the diatonic scales in the major-minor system by counting the lines and spaces between the given notes always upward from the lower note. Simple intervals encompass one octave or less. Compound intervals are larger than the octave and are heard as expanded variants of their simple counterparts. A 10th octave plus a third, such as CC, E, is associated by the ear with a third and interval encompassing 3 scale steps, such as CE. Measured as described above, the scale yields, for perfect intervals, prime or unison, octave, 4th and 5th. The other intervals, seconds, thirds, 6ths, and 7ths, are major when they are built from the first degree tonic of a major scale and minor when they are one semitone or half-step smaller, as in the 3rd, 6th, and 7th built on the tonic of a natural minor scale. An interval, a semitone, larger than a major or perfect interval, but including the same number of lines and spaces on the staff, is called an augmented interval in like manner. An interval smaller than a perfect or minor interval is called diminished. In the C major and a natural minor scales, the interval FB is an augmented fourth, and the interval BF is a diminished fifth. When the lower pitch of a simple interval is moved up an octave to become the higher pitch, the interval is said to be inverted and takes on a different name. Thus, the third C and the sixth Cia are inversions or complements of each other. Unison and octave, second and seventh, third and sixth, and fourth and fifth are related in this way. Major intervals become minor when inverted, and vice versa. Augmented intervals become diminished, and vice versa, and perfect intervals remain perfect. For example, when the major second as CD is inverted, the resulting seventh as DC is a minor seventh. The inversion of the perfect fourth is the perfect fifth. In the tonal system, intervals are traditionally defined in terms of consonance and dissonance. Consonances include the perfect intervals and the major and minor thirds, and sixths imperfect consonances, seconds, sevenths, and all augmented and diminished intervals are categorized as dissonances. The perfect fourth, a special case, is a consonant interval, except when it is formed with the bass as in two-part counterpoint, in which case it is a dissonance. Dissonant harmonic intervals may be used to create tension, and consonant harmonic intervals can resolve it. Comments for Part 2 video.